Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo World Report at Night for Thursday, October 6th, 2016. I'm your host, Alexander Coffey, joined by the some segment of this usual crew of ours. You know what? The usual crew is Alex and or Donald, and then Neal and or Zach.
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, I'm joined by site director Neal Ronahan. Hello, Neal Ronahan.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, you wasted $35. Look at you.
It was on Amazon on Monday morning. This is the Pokemon Go Plus. And I dropped it. It's broken shit. It's really cool, except for the Pokemon Go Plus has issues staying connected to Android phones, as I found out. Where it's basically, I've noticed if I take out my phone and do anything to it, then it'll drop connection. If I just kind of keep my phone in my pocket and walk around, I mean, so far I haven't done much more than walk the dog around the block. But connection dropping with the Pokemon Go Plus to your Android device may vary. Apparently works fine on iPhone. But no, it's a neat little thing. Maybe a little overpriced, but we'll see as time goes out. Right now I'm out of Pokeballs, so I can't do shit with it.
Word. Let me just ask you very quickly, Donald Terrio also joining us.
And if
our Lord, hello.
If you're watching this in the southeastern United States, what the fuck are you doing? Get on the road, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, it's all of our friends in the southern part of the United States. We wish you the best of fortunes, and hope you all stay safe. But Donald, one question I have about your microphone. I'm getting a little bit of I can hear your breathing. Is
this better?
It's and Neal, you might want to tweak stuff too. Today's episode of Nintendo World Report at Night we got a little bit of everything. We have like two news stories: the Pokemon and the Ubisoft, and then we got a tiny bit of what we've been playing, and then maybe we'll have a couple other things to talk about. We'll talk about the telethon some, which is happening soon. It's gonna be a little action.
It's gonna be a Pokemon show. Hosted by you on the telethon.
Oh yeah, it's I'm sending out some requests for people to guess. You know what sucks about having a real job now, Neal, is that I have to take time off on a Saturday to do a telethon for charity, and I'm like, I can do anything that's before 3 or after 7. It's one of those things, but you know what? It's for the kids, and that's what I'm telling my boss. So, it'll probably be okay. Anyways, let's talk about Pokemon news. Let's talk about what we're actually here to talk about. There's been new Pokemon reveals. They revealed the starter evolutions, only the first stage evolutions. Rowlet has My Chemical Owl Dartrix, who who looks kind of like he belongs in a Hot Topic, but also like he belongs in a thrift store.
He's a
so hipster. Is he Macklemore?
My haircut from a few months ago was Macklemore. This is like this. He's got a little bit of a part in his hair.
And he totally goes there, and he gets a high school theater shirt from a year that he didn't go to high school there. That's probably what he does at the thrift store.
He really wants you to know how much he loves Eddie Izzard.
Yeah. Okay.
We also got what do we got here? We got Brion Poplio, which is it's your sort of like feminine looking secondary starter, because we got one of those every generation now.
And everybody's upset about that, which I don't really get. Let Poplio evolve into whatever Poplio wants to evolve into.
Yeah, respect Poplio's identity.
As one of the leaders of Team Poplio, I got to say I like where this is going, and I'm really, really confident now that Greninja may not appear in Smash Brothers, but I'm pretty sure Brion's final form will.
Yeah. Oh, and then we got Torracat, which is Litten's, which is still lit as hell.
Yeah.
It's Litten is still the best one. It's still just the best one. He's a black and orange cat. He looks like Halloween. It's really pretty. Two new locations were announced. Festival Plaza, which features mini games to earn festival coins, which can be traded for items or Pokemon training, which looks like maybe the equivalent for super training, if not a mini game equivalent of Battle Frontier or an expanded version of what we saw in Soul Silver Heart Gold.
Yeah, or like even the Wi-Fi event mini games that you had in the Platinum and Heart Gold and Soul Silver as well.
Yeah. And then we also got Pokepelago, which is a great name. It lets box Pokemon find other wild Pokemon rare items or build experience their stats. One thing I've been noticing in newer Pokemon games is that they're starting to take more cues from the anime. For instance, in Black and White, the plot really resembled that of like a really solid Pokemon anime. Then we go to X and Y, and you basically have these friend characters, which are it's the friend characters that you see in the Ash anime. And then in this game, you have the thing that happens to Ash at the end of every generation when he gives all his Pokemon to Professor Oak, and then they're on a farm somewhere. And it seems like this is their take on that, and it feels like these games get more anime generation after generation.
Yeah. And given the size of these things, it sure seems like anime is going to be happening.
3 gigabytes, isn't it like the fourth biggest 3DS game?
Yeah. So when I inevitably download one of these things, it's going to mean I'm going to have Bravely Default, Xenoblade, Revelations, and Pokemon Sun or Moon, one of the two, all on one memory card. Good thing I got 128 gigs.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
You don't need to have every game downloaded at once. Just saying.
Well, at least then, I don't know why I keep Longreser on there, but
yeah,
it's nice
you just need to let go sometimes, Donald. Just let go.
Yeah.
Well, I already bought the darn card, so may as well roll with it. I still have 180,000 blocks left after Pokemon comes out, so
32 gigabytes. I'm almost full on my 3DS card, so it's good to know that if I end up buying Pokemon Sun and Moon, I'm probably making the right choice this gen. We got 2 more like stories. One of them is like more of a me and Donald thing, and then which is like it's the Pokemon fans who are so invested in this shit that you just hate everything you see.
All right. So is that the next story, or do we have something else between then?
We have. Wait, what are you talking about?
No, I mean, are we getting to that story next, or is there something else between now and then?
We have the demo version and we have the Mega Evolution stuff. Those are the two things we have left to talk about. The Mega Evolution thing I want to talk about because Mega Evolution is coming back, except it looks like it's whatever your moves are. It seems like it's part of that bracelet. And but
the Z moves.
The Z moves, it'll be a part of that like Z bracelet, but no new Mega Evolutions were shown. It was showing Lucario, Kangaskhan, and Salamence. And in addition to that, it was confirmed that in next year's World Championships, you're just not going to be allowed to use Mega Pokemon at all, which makes me think they're competitively retconning this, and basically they're admitting defeat in a way of saying, like, we decided this wasn't good for the competitive scene, which is crazy because I thought Mega Evolutions were shockingly awesome when utilized correctly. Granted, yeah, you had shit like Kangaskhan and Blaziken falling through the cracks, but outside of that, I thought Mega Evolution was really good. And instead of that, we have the Alolan Pokemon coming in, and now that's making me wonder, are we just gonna get like a different gimmick Pokemon and a different like major shift to the series every single gen? Because by like generation 12, and even though it's going to be in 2030, are we going to have 6 different variant types of Pokemon?
I think maybe they might, if they're going to keep going down this road, I think at some point we may get to the point of the Fabled reboot, probably just after they hit 1,000 Pokemon.
Because actually hearing you guys kind of talk about Mega Evolutions, it makes me think of something that I was going to use to interrupt the Pokemon chat. And that's, I got a bunch of Skylanders Imaginators crap in the mail. This is Taekwon Crow, which had
that's sick. That sounds like a Yokai Watch character's name.
but So there will be a review of Skylanders Imaginators up on the website next Wednesday, so stay tuned to that. I haven't really touched much of it yet. I was sick today. I got it yesterday. But with Skylanders, kind of for every game, which they've had a game every year, I think this is 6 or 7, I think. But there is the original Giants. What the hell is it? Giants Swap Force Trap Team. Yeah, this is number 6, I think. And the thing with Skylanders is that each one does have a new thing to it. Like the second one had giants. One had swap characters where you could take the bottom off one and put it on another one. This one has sensei characters. Before they had vehicles. And they keep on adding new things. And Skylanders has done a very good job of letting those things do something in the latest game no matter what. So it's not that Skylanders has a big competitive aspect like Pokemon does, but I have a feeling that what's going to happen with Pokemon over time is something that's similar that's happening to Skylanders is Mega Pokemon will stop being a focus, Alolan Pokemon will stop being a focus, but they will continue to be added to the world each game and probably just taken out of the competitive scene so that way they can focus on the core of what's competitive as opposed to making sure everything fits.
Right. I don't know. I think my concern is that Pokemon feels like it's getting a little too cluttered as a series, which is naturally going to happen after you have Pokemon for 20 years.
Yeah.
And having the Alolan Pokemon, the Mega Pokemon, whatever comes after this, unless they stick with the regional Pokemon from now on, which I'd be fine with, or do they go back to adding evolutions to Pokemon? It just seems like once you have so many of that, it gets harder to keep track of it. And I think last generation was the first generation when I didn't know the names of some of the Pokemon because I just had too many of them in my head.
Well, it's like because with Sun and Moon, but are they going to be close to 800 or
they're going to probably be over 800?
Okay, because they're at 750 in X and Y, right?
720-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, 721 I think is what they'll end the generation with.
Okay, so probably close to 800. I mean, I guess with all the Alolan forms and stuff, but I think it's more likely that just in future generations we get less new Pokemon.
Yeah, like
which
it
has kind of
maybe
happened.
The trend. Yeah, like we had 70 Pokemon last time.
Yeah, and these things tend to come in, in a TikTok pattern. I've spoken about it before, but like the odd number gens, they tend to bring in more Pokemon. There's a more dramatic shift in how they're handling them, so they might add like 120 this time around, and then the next generation will probably go back to like 60 or 70 new ones.
Do you think that's coincidence?
Well, yeah. I mean, small sample size kind of hurts it, but I mean, the odd number generations have always added at least 135 Pokemon, and the even numbered ones have averaged about 100. It's dropping into like 70 if you don't count the Mega Evolutions.
I'm very curious if this is going to be one. This is not the best thing for me to say is the person who's tentatively on the review right now. But there's this part of me in the back of my head that I'm not making any assumptions, but I'm very much thinking like, is this going to be one of the good Pokemon games or the bad Pokemon games? And I can't fucking tell yet. That's
exciting. We're like a month out. You have no idea.
That's the funny thing. They keep revealing so many names of Pokemon. They've revealed more than they've ever revealed before, but I have no idea what this game looks like.
Yeah, it seems like they've revealed a lot of. I don't know, like they've revealed a lot of specifics, but not a lot of the actual game. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Like you're gonna go here. You're gonna go. This and this will be involved, but we don't know what's going to be the glue that holds all that together.
Which, I guess is and I've detailed this before on Nintendo News Report and reminded you guys before we started the show that I'm in this lazy media blackout with this game where I'll still hear things. I'm not seeking to block things on Twitter so I don't see stuff, but I'm just not reading the full news stories anymore. Hearing it from you guys is the most that I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, which is good. I envy you, and I hope I can be like you one day. It sounds so patronizing, but I actually totally mean that. And that I hope I start caring a little less about Pokemon so I can start getting excited and surprised by it again. Because I think being in my position is the worst one you can be, which is I emotionally love Pokemon. I'm not attached to it competitively in that mechanical way. I just emotionally love the JRPG that is Pokemon. And now that I'm invested in it as much as I am, I get caught up in the media cycle, and especially because I'm technically like we're part of the media, like
Yeah.
I have to be caught as part of that media cycle. It's basically I keep getting fed the shit I don't want to see, but I don't have the option to not see it either. So once I can be more like you, Neal, which is something I should say in more parts of my life. But once I can be more like you, I can care less about Pokemon, but just less enough so that I can be surprised and keep playing every Pokemon game that comes out.
I think just become the director of a website, and then you can kind of divest yourself from getting into specifics as much.
Right,
that's what I've done.
So step one is GoDaddy.
Because when I was doing more news focused stuff when I first started at Nintendo World Report, I was really in the weeds in all the specifics of these different games, and then I got to a point where, like, I think it was Skyward Sword was the first one that I realized that, like, oh, I kind of people complained about getting spoiled about that game, but I kind of avoided that. Right. Like there was a lot that I was surprised by in that game, but I think for Breath of the Wild, my own personal excitement and curiosity is going to be the death of me when it comes to that game.
And now I'm in your position, and like I'm in that position with Breath of the Wild, because I paid attention to almost none of it at E3. I looked at it and I'm like, some of this stuff I have questions about, but like we'll see when it comes out, and hopefully it's the best game ever.
I think, honestly, Alex, I think I'm in your situation when it comes to Breath of the Wild, because I got so overloaded by that game at E3. I don't even know if I need to play it anymore.
Dude, they showed like fucking 5% of that game, if not even. I think they were claiming like this is 1 to 2% of the map, and like that's probably full of shit. But like they showed so much of that game, but they also, by what we saw of what is potentially in that game, they showed almost nothing.
Maybe I just burned out by seeing like 2-hour analysis videos for Breath of the Wild when it's not even out for like 5 months.
But like, I don't know. There's a fun part of that. Like, I mean, might as well not beat around the bush. Game Explained did a 2-hour analysis video that is probably one of the most like in-depth OCD videos I've ever seen on the internet, and it's beautiful. It's so ridiculous that like there is that much teased out of like what wasn't that much of that game, just a lot of that game shown over and over again with like a new hat on it. It was like, this time they're gonna have a rod, like. But
yes, like if you ask me, like, Alex, what's the video representation of what it's like to be a super hardcore Nintendo fan in 2016? That video captures the essence of modern internet Nintendo fan.
I still, if you're into the ridiculous timeline machinations that came out of the Breath of the Wild stuff, go check out John Raridan's video on this channel, the Breath of the Wild timeline stuff, because like I just like that stuff. I love it when it's not set in stone and there's just a lot of like back and forth. And I mean, I kind of like the Zelda timeline in this being this wistful thing that isn't concrete. And it really bugs me whenever people are being like, well, the Koroks are in Breath of the Wild. That means it must come after Wind Waker. And it's like, well, you know, that doesn't make any sense because the art styles are different. So clearly it can't be on the same timeline as Wind Waker because then everybody would be cel-shaded. Like,
right. No, you're totally right. I think the hype cycle is dangerous, and hopefully all these games end up being like fighting for the best game of all time.
Yeah,
I mean, we're gonna find out a little bit more about Sun and Moon in about 12 days.
Right, because we got a demo coming out.
Yeah,
that's coming out on October 18th. It features Ash Greninja, a previously anime exclusive version of the Pokemon / Smash Bros. Character. Transforms with a Battle Bond ability. It's basically a Mega Evolution, but it's not called a Mega Evolution, and it can be transferred to Sun and Moon upon release, which is sick.
Yeah.
And I just realized I'm going to a Nintendo demo on October 18th, and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna get to play Sun and Moon. It's probably just gonna be the demo.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They'll give you the Wi-Fi. You can download it right there.
Yeah. I'll get it on the train on the way in.
It's just a Starbucks.
I don't know, man. You better have a fat data plan based on the size of I think the demo is 300 megs.
Yeah. Okay. I think anything else to say about Pokemon, Donald?
The next news dump is going to be a week from tomorrow, the 14th. So that will dovetail nicely into a little segment we're doing on the telethon on the 15th.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. So what is that segment, Alex?
That segment on the Nintendo World Report 7th Annual Telethon for Child's Play it's for the kids. We're doing a segment on Pokemon Sun and Moon. We're going to be going over a lot of the stuff we've already talked about, but in my imagination, what this segment looks like, which is a way more common thing than you think. When people are talking about segments they're going to be doing a week from today, in my imagination, the way this segment looks is we go through the major, basically the major things the Pokemon Company has revealed to us. We start from the starters. We talk about that trailer. We talk about the way stuff's been revealed. We talk about whether we think they're going to be gyms or not. We talk about whether we think the Alolan Pokemon are going to be the new thing. We're going to talk about what we think the news cycle is going to look like up until launch. We talk about whether we think it's going to pick up cues from X and Y in regards to difficulty. It'll be the way I like to talk about Pokemon, which is I like it if I'm talking about Pokemon, I like it to be for the Pokemon fan, but also people like Neal who like Pokemon casually can enjoy it too. So if you're listening to this show and you even tangentially like it when we talk about Pokemon, it'll be a good segment. We got Donald. I requested. I have an obvious first choice for the telethon guest that I'm not going to say who's big in the Pokemon community, and then I have a couple other choices that I'm going to request if that one doesn't pan out. But the idea is it'll be me, it'll be Donald, and it'll be someone who's even more educated than us to talk about Pokemon. And I think it'll be a pretty fun hour. It's always a fun hour with Nintendo News Report.
Yeah. I want to back up because I'm seeing it mentioned in the chat. That Nintendo event that I'm going to, like nothing to do with NX 120 million %.
So like, Neal is saying the NX is going to be announced. Breaking news.
Like. No, it's just it's like an appointment in New York City to see their fall games. So like all three of them.
Sun and Moon, Mario Maker, and
NES Classic Edition will be there too. And I think it's just stuff coming. If it's stuff that you've heard of that's coming out this fall, I'll probably be checking it out. When the Pokemon demo comes out.
Let me ask you a question because our show likes it when we talk about NX stuff. I'm just going to ask you a very basic question. It's just one question. When is the NX coming out?
Ooh.
I said summer. Donald, did you say fall or do you think it's going to make it to March?
Right now I'm on Team March until we hear otherwise.
Okay. I'm on summer.
You know what? That seems weak-willed, Donald. I'm going to call it out. You're like, well, Nintendo said March, so I guess it's March. Like, no, I think it's March though. Not because Nintendo said it, because I think that's when the system's going to come out.
What do you think they're doing right now? Because it's getting close to the wire, ain't it?
All right. So I've been like kind of fighting my way out of the NX rumor cycle because it's just toxic and everybody's yelling and upset and angry. But from what I've heard from people that I know in the know, it was supposed to be announced in September. Like that's when the reveal date was supposed to be. Something pushed it back. I don't really know 100% what. Maybe it's like the games, like some of the games that they wanted to have ready to show weren't necessarily ready to show yet. Maybe like something happened in the 11th hour that pushed it back. Like I don't know the specifics. I just know that it was supposed to be announced around TGS. That was a plan from a couple months ago. At some point that changed. I don't know what happened. I've heard nothing concrete from anybody about when will they reveal the system, but I will be very, very shocked if by the time Nintendo has their quarterly report, I think it's like October 26th or something like that, I will be very, 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 very shocked if we don't know what the NX is by that investors meeting at the end of October.
Okay.
I just wish they would give us a bloody date so this entire community can stop having blue balls over it.
I just think the entire community needs to get the fuck over themselves and enjoy the games that come out right now, because most of them are pretty good. There might not be a lot of them, but there's a lot of good games.
Well, I'm sorry, but when we're harassing Papa John's asking for NX rumors,
no, that's not a Nintendo problem, man. That's a everybody problem. That's not a Nintendo problem.
That and I want to book the announcement day off from work, and I would like some more.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling if it is indeed going to be a Nintendo Direct-like thing, which is what I expect it to be, we'll find out about it like 2 days before.
It's Papa John always following Emily Rogers on Twitter.
Dude, no, Peyton Manning will announce the NX. That's what will happen. He ain't doing anything right now. He's just making commercials and making more money than probably his brother is playing football right now.
Someone's probably calling up that frozen yogurt chain where like the Splatoon stuff came out in Canada.
Hey, Yogurtland. So you had that Nintendo promotion over the summer. NX?
Yogurtland, kind of like Mario 3D Land, like Nintendo, like NX. Like, what can you tell me, guys?
But no, as for the NX, a lot of those rumors that have been circulating, maybe they don't have all the specifics right, but from what I gather, like that's the system. Just there might be some specifics that got crossed along the way, but like it's gonna be some weird handheld home console thing.
Pokemon Company confirmed that. Like that's something we talked about the other week. Is like that's the first confirmation we've had of that.
Yeah, like I mean, there's still a lot about there are a lot of specifics about the system that I don't know, and we just don't know as a Nintendo community.
Mm-hmm.
But like we should find that out pretty soon. Like if they don't announce it before that investor meeting, holy shit, is that investor meeting gonna be incredible?
Right,
it's gonna be ridiculous. Because it'll just be people being like, yo, dude, what happened? Like, what's going on?
That investor meeting, remember, they've got a little piece of red meat to dangle in front of them and called Super Mario Run.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be like, someone will be like, when is the NX going to announce? And Kimishima's just going to be like, well, Super Mario Run's coming out exclusively on the iOS platform in December. We're going to show a video of Super Mario Run. But what about the NX? Super Mario Run is going to be very good.
Yeah. Okay. And here's the other question I wanted to ask for you. Someone at some point had to have contacted a rep for the Seattle Mariners and then just asked about it, right?
Well, I mean, they don't even own the Mariners anymore.
Like, I know. That's even worse, right?
I mean, probably. Like, people are dumb.
What if the NX is just like bullshit?
I should go find a Seattle Mariner player on Twitter and just be like, "Yo, dog, NX."
They're not doing anything right now.
Yeah, Robinson Cano. Like, why aren't you replying, man?
It's Okay.
Go like try to find Ken Griffey, just like wherever. I don't know. If you live in Cincinnati now, I have no idea. Just go try to find Ken Griffey and just be like, "Hey, man, you made that game with Nintendo 20 years ago. What's up? How's Howard Lincoln? How are things?"
Has someone contacted Howard Lincoln to ask him about the NX?
I mean, probably. I bet you Cammie Dunaway somewhere, just being like, waiting by the phone, being like, maybe someone will call me about the NX. Maybe someone will call me about the NX.
Yeah. I figure this is a good time as any to read some chat. Nintendo says that investors meeting is going to be incredible for the release list and devilish brain training.
Don, no one cares about devilish brain training except for like the 15 people in Europe that want to play it.
And me, just because it's just funny seeing that on the list every single time when they've clearly canceled it.
Well, okay, which is funnier, devilish brain training or Project Giant Robot?
Devilish brain training's been there since the game came out in North America 4 years ago now.
I think the thing that I love about Project Giant Robot is just like the sincerity whenever anybody's asked about it. And it's just like, yep, it's a real thing. Until like finally like around when Star Fox Zero came out, Miyamoto was just like, yeah, we're not doing that right now. But it's still there.
Here, wouldn't it be, so you know how like Polygon and whoever always has those great like 2,000 word articles about something super in depth about the game industry? Like there was that time that whatever outlet it was talked about like the god Peter Molyneux forgot. Wouldn't it be a great 2,000 word story if we actually found out the full unadulterated story of why Devilish Brain Training is still there and hasn't been canceled.
All right, I'm gonna be dogged here, Dawn. I know you're listening. You get that into me on Monday, or else you're fired.
Although really,
I'm just like, dude, I'm
David
gonna go
Parker, show me
spotlight on
Kawashima,
everyone's.
man.
I'm gonna go spotlight on everyone's asses. Like, let's go.
although haven't they come out and said that like those brain training games are complete bullshit?
Oh, it's
I mean, they're fun. Like, dude, like Brain Age Concentration Training was a really fun game. I think I like irregularly played that game for almost a year. Like, the brain training on 3DS was fun.
Do you think Kawashima knows anything about the NX?
Oh, Dr. Kawashima?
Dr. Kawashima.
Maybe he is the NX.
The NX is a giant floating devil's head.
Yep.
That game was sick too. I don't know why it hasn't come out. I mean, it's too hard, but it's really sick.
Yeah, I like that game a lot. I'm sorry, Europe.
It makes your brain hurt in like a really nice way. Yeah, I hope it comes out for you. We had some other stuff. Matthew Kelly says, "Hey NWR, what do you think if the Pokemon Company adds Ash Greninja to Pokemon Generations? Do you think it might be a story plot chaotic addition since Red is in Generations? I don't know if Pokemon Generations is one story. I don't necessarily care what they do with Ash Greninja because it's fucking crazy that they're calling it Ash Greninja, but your character is not Ash. But at the same time, Pokemon Generations is kind of sick if you like Pokemon and you care even a little bit about the classic stories of Pokemon.
Where can I watch Pokemon Generations?
YouTube. It's all on YouTube. And they're all like 3-4 minutes. You can see what was happening to Giovanni when he was at the gym as the 8th gym boss. You can see what he was doing around that time. You can see Lance at the Lake of Rage. It's like, you know what it is? It takes moments from the Pokemon games and it doesn't like portray those events. It portrays the story events happening around them that you didn't see.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to someone about it over the weekend, and I was just like, I should sit down and watch that because I really like Pokemon Origins. Like that was super neat. I watched that when I got the Pokemon Go fever back in July and just burned through that. I mean, it's only 4 episodes, but like that was fun. So yeah. I think I'm going to check out some Generations.
The funny part is, Nintendo says, that all the EU languages are already tucked away in the American version. So, oops. Cherry Goblin says, as a huge fan of Brain Age 1 and 2, I still have yet to play Brain Age Concentration Training, and I'm in the US. I heavily recommend it. If you miss those games at all, I would say it's really fucking hard, and you have to really want a really hard game, but it also will make you feel like your brain's getting a real-ass workout.
Yeah. It's tough, but it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we're working blue tonight.
Yeah. We're working a little blue. Hey NWR, hey NWR, what next emulation console do you like to see after the NES Classic Edition? Do you want to see the Game Boy system or SNES system Classic Edition coming next? I think the Game Boy version will never happen because the big secret of Game Boy is the same big secret of N64, is that there aren't that many games from the original Game Boy you can actually seriously recommend.
We made a list of N64 games on this here show. I think you could easily make like a 20-game N64 thing that would be solid.
No, although, like would feel good $50.
But I'll double back on that a little bit in that the problem with Game Boy and N64 is that a lot of those classic games for those systems are tied up in licensing hell because a lot of N64's library has that tie to Rare. A lot of like Game Boy, like Tetris needs to be there. Like we have our Nintendo World Report Hall of Fame that we're putting together. I've been kind of blown away by how many people are supporting Tetris over like Super Mario World. Like, and I mean, I guess I should be that surprised because Tetris was a landmark game on Game Boy, especially. But yeah, like if you have a Game Boy collection without Tetris, that seems dumb.
I have a list of some of the best Game Boy games, just because we're free balling it tonight. We got Amazing Penguin, Amazing Tater, Another Bible, Avenging Spirit. All right, I'll read some of Okay, here's some of the other ones. This is on V's recommended games, which is from the 4chan board. They have a wiki that they put together of like games that they would actually recommend. Whatever you think of like 4chan and whatever, like this wiki is super helpful if you want to know what the essential games on a system are. They got Balloon Kid. They got Double Dragon Battletoads. They got Bonk. I didn't know they did Bonk.
Well, let's look at games that might actually have a chance of coming out. Right now, I'm looking at the Game Boy Virtual Console list.
Donkey Kong Land is all right. That exists.
Alleyway would probably be on the. Yeah, I mean the thing with the Game Boy one is that it'd just be a lot of shitty games from the early '90s. Like
they probably put it on all 3 Pokemon versions, and that'll count as 3 games.
Yeah, but I mean like Alleyway would probably be there. Super Mario Land, those games are good. Wario Land's good. Kirby's Dream Land,
Kid Icarus, Metroid 2, Kirby's
Watch Galleries, Avenging Spirit. Avenging Spirit is a pretty solid game. On it, and Gargoyle's Quest is good too. The Mega Man Game Boy games, Cat Rap.
Like I'm trying to think of games that I actually remember liking.
Hey, just so everyone's aware, the fifth year of the Cat Rap holiday that I declared on October 13th, 2011. Hold on, I need to see what the name of that thing is. I forgot the Cat Rap Day. Cat Rap Day is a week away, guys.
Ooh, and to think you treated that about as well as Nintendo treated the Year of Luigi.
Yeah.
The Super Mario Land games are sick. I will give you that. All of the both of the main Super Mario Land games are fucking sick.
Like, I mean, like the first one's like a little weird, but it's beautiful
in a cool way. That game is weirder than Super Mario Bros. 2.
And the music's good. And, like,
Golden Coins is amazing. Golden Coins is one of the best Mario 2D platforms.
That was my first Game Boy game that I owned, and Super Mario Land 2 is amazing.
Remember the 3 pigs boss fight? Wasn't that sick? That was pretty sick.
Yeah, I should play through that game again. I love that game.
It's like an hour long as an adult playing through it, and you don't even realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Kurt. It's called Cat Rap,
it is.
I mean, or Ka-Trap. It's Cat Rap.
Trap. Okay. We have a Ubisoft story we'll touch on briefly, though I'm so not in the mood to talk about Ubisoft anymore after we've had all this fun Nintendo speculative conversation. but here's an uplifting story.
I think the Super Nintendo one will happen next. Either that or we will get an NES second collection. That's my prediction. I don't think we're ever getting a Game Boy one. I don't think it would be that lucrative.
Yeah. I hope GameCube happens on Virtual Console and tangentially related news.
Yeah.
That's just okay. Anyways, Ubisoft gets to stay independent for I think one more year.
At least
one more year because they decided Vivendi decided not to take up more seats. And I think this was in response to Ubisoft revealing their A and B plan, which is plan.
We believes.
Huh?
No. There wasn't it like that hashtag we believes, like Eves, Gimo,
Eves.
Yeah, something like that. I forget what it was. I saw something about that online.
The We Are Ubisoft thing happened too.
Yeah, that too.
Anyways, Vivendi decided not to approach right now, so which means Ubisoft is going to be independent for another year. But I think that was in response to Ubisoft's two-step plan that I think Eve basically established, which is plan A, they fight tooth and nail to stay independent, and if that fails, they would rather sell themselves to another game company, like a direct competitor, before selling them to Vivendi.
Yeah, because I mean that's that whole. We're not financial experts or business experts, but Gameloft got taken over by Vivendi, and Gameloft basically got torn apart after that. And that was actually like Eve's brother was running Gameloft,
who's now listed as like the CEO of Ubisoft Films or something.
Yeah, because the Assassin's Creed movie is coming out in 2 months, and they have. I mean, Ubisoft has been talking about doing movie stuff for like the past 7 years, so. Like, I mean, it sucks because I think that Ubisoft, even if they do fall on a lot of, annual franchises and stuff and a lot of climbing towers, like, to me, Ubisoft, EA, and Activision, they do have their evil big corporation sides of them, but then they have the ability to occasionally make really brilliant games because they can take the risk.
I don't even think it's fair to say that these companies are necessarily where they were 2008, which is not even necessarily a staunch disagreement. I'm just thinking about EA's made a shit ton of goodwill moves in the last few years between like the way they've been putting out games, the way they've been sort of
EA
supporting
Access
games.
is secretly fantastic if you like EA
Access.
games.
EA Access. They've been making good sports games lately, which I'm guessing they probably have like some sort of say in. They did that thing where they led the charge on the refund thing, which is a big deal. Then you got Activision, who's been low key putting out like some solid Call of Duty games lately.
And all of these games are really good, and they're still around. Unlike Disney Infinity, like Skylanders is still a thing, and it's really. I can't speak for the new game yet. I haven't played it yet, but every Skylanders game has been good.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Ubisoft, who at the very least, like, they put out a lot of good games.
Yeah,
even though they're like super polished to a fault, they're leading the charge on AAA development in a big way now.
Yeah.
And even though that sounds like a weird thing to say in a world where like we applaud the creative indie go-getter, but AAA still needs a place in third-party development, and it's good that someone is giving us that diversity in video games.
Yeah, and they employ a stupid number of people. As game developers, so there's a very good chance that your game talent has crossed through Ubisoft at some point. Like they employ like 10,000 people.
In a world where game crunch is so ridiculous and how people have to move across the country to stay employed as a game designer for what's probably like relatively shit pay, these annual Call of Duty games, once every 3-year Call of Duty games, are guaranteed employment for some people for up to 3 years, which is super serious.
From what I've talked to, running into people at Activision over the years at events and all that jazz, if you work for Activision and you are on a franchise that they give a shit about, like a Skylanders or a Call of Duty, like you're taken care of. They treat you real well. It just unfortunately, if like you're like I don't know anything specific like this, but if like you're a Shabba Games who made that Spider-Man Web of Shadows game that I thought was pretty cool, you might occasionally be on the short end of the stick there, where you basically get killed because you like that Spider-Man game didn't do as well as they wanted, and they wanted to do more than make Spider-Man games. Or you could be in a position like Raven Software, where they used to make all these really awesome original games, and now they're just making like Modern Warfare Remastered. But they all still have jobs, so at the end of the day,
and Ubisoft does tend to take some risks. I mean, they have their UbiArt games, the little downloadable things like Child of Light and Valiant Hearts, and well, this week we found out that they've got Beyond Good and Evil 2 in pre-production.
Right.
Yeah. That's nice. Wasn't it announced like 7 years ago?
Yeah, but we're in the era of like crazy shit definitely not going to happen getting announced and then actually coming out. The only catch is that most of the shit that finally gets announced and comes out usually isn't very good.
Yeah, or it's kickstarted.
Right.
So
which is such a shot in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, in all that talk about like Beyond Good and Evil 2 being like an exclusive or anything, like like Ubisoft isn't that dumb. I don't think they're gonna do what they did with Rayman Legends again. I don't think unless Nintendo's giving them a lot of money, which I guess could be a good chance that might happen.
It's something that could happen.
Yeah. Beyond Good and Evil 2 will come out on everything they can put it on, because that's the only way that game will ever make money.
Right. And it still won't. It still probably won't.
And that's a shame. I mean, Beyond Good and Evil was what I think was voted like the most underrated game of our era.
I haven't played it since like 2005 or something, but I did get it was like on sale for $1 on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah,
and it's been on backwards compatibility on Xbox One. All this fervor over Beyond Good and Evil 2, I installed it on my Xbox One the other day, and I might play through it sometime soon.
And if you're gonna shit on any third parties, you got Konami, who's just a flaming train wreck at any given moment, who's literally shitting on series, not caring about it, and then making the worst apologies of all time. And then you got Capcom, who has, I think Capcom, like, if you're talking game quality wise and like the full scope of their catalog, Capcom has the best games of any third party ever. Like, and it's not even close.
But I think the thing with Capcom though is, and we've kind of seen that by the fact that it seems like every one of their releases kind of is like allied with a major platform holder. Probably in some cases like Street Fighter V, where it's just published by Sony, or even with like Monster Hunter on 3DS. There's probably a lot of marketing dollars that Nintendo throws at them. I mean, Capcom, I think, is in a financial position where they have to do things like that in order to stay afloat. And I think it's a worthwhile compromise, even if Street Fighter V seemed to be one of the most mishandled games this side of SimCity.
Okay. I don't think I can ever fully give up on Capcom. Konami I've kind of given up on, but I think Capcom has enough goodwill from their history.
And also Capcom puts out really good games. Like as you said, like the reason why Capcom does things that I guess might mildly frustrate me is because money's a bitch. Like,
and you wonder
Resident Evil 7's probably in VR because they probably got funding from Sony because they're putting in a VR mode. Like, you got to do what you got to do to stay alive.
Yeah, right. And that's why Monster Hunter is still a 3DS game, because that's where it makes the most money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next enormous Monster Hunter game is on PS4.
I think the future might be like with Dragon Quest 11, where it's, here's a PS4 to 3DS version. I mean, or whatever is a successor to the 3DS version. Like maybe, but like I think that Monster Hunter's future has PS4 in it somehow, because that's after three. Like that's, I don't want to be like, oh, that's a successor to the PS4 is the successor to the 3DS in Japan, but like that's kind of how it is right now.
Right, and with Generations, Monster Hunter on 3DS feels like it's ran its course. Monster Hunter Generations, I think I gave it a positive review a few months ago because I remember it being a really good game because of how much content it has. But also, you ever play those sequels that just feel like they're running out of steam?
Yeah, no, this is that game. I haven't put as much time into Generations, but that's when I played it. I'm just kind of like, oh, maybe 4 Ultimate was the peak of this for me.
There's more monsters than any other game before, but there's still more of those shitty fetch quests that were in other. It's, you know what? There's a time and place for Monster Hunter Generations talk. And it's just like it's. I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking Monster Hunter could use an evolution. And
Chariot Goblin just mentioned Ace Attorney. I think Ace Attorney it'll either not exist, stay Nintendo portable, or go mobile. I think those are the 3 options for Ace Attorney. And right now, it's going to stay 3DS. The Great Ace Attorney 2 is coming out like next year.
In Japan only because,
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. I think I'm ready for there to be like either no more Ace Attorney games or like a 5 to 7 year break from Ace Attorney games.
See, the great thing is I still haven't played 5 or 6. So
you might never will.
Yeah. I mean, like I've had 5. I've had 5 for a while. I have given up my replaying 1, 2, and 3. I did replay 1 like last year. I did give up my replaying 1, 2, and 3. My next Ace Attorney game that I play will be 5.
2's not great, and 3's only great if you had just played 2.
I don't know, but then like I've played 1, 2, and 3 close to 10 years ago. But I didn't remember a lot about them. So when I replayed 1, it was kind of like, I remember these characters, but I don't remember the specifics of what happened. And it was kind of really fun to play still.
Secretly, even though a lot of people say Trials and Tribulations was the best one, I think if I'm recommending this series to someone in 2016 who's like, hey, I'm kind of interested in that Phoenix Wright thing, I might just recommend you just play the first game and just leave it at that. Because I think, like, even though there are a lot of great games,
the first game's real good.
You've seen the peak of that series, in my opinion, after you play the 5th case of that game. It doesn't get better than that. There's more great shit.
Yeah.
But I think like Ace Attorney 1 is just such a tight, good package. It feels like classic Capcom at their best in a weird way. Just and then how Japanesey it feels and how like unpolished but also polished it feels at the same time.
And also like how brutal it is too. Like that entire series is just like, oh, that motherfucker dead. Like
yeah.
she's coming back as a ghost, but like she got stabbed in the back. Like
oh, and then like I might recommend Ghost Trick too, since it's like 4 hours long.
I think Ghost Trick is one of the best games on DS. Like full stuff, like that and Picross 3D are my two favorite things on DS.
Secretly, I need to beat Ghost Trick. I think I got like halfway through, hit a roadblock, and then didn't go back, and always regretted it.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like, how about you do that? I'll play Ace Attorney 5, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk about it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. Damn it.
Okay.
Because Ghost Trick is like the if I know you're a fan of the Ace Attorney games, you need to finish Ghost Trick.
I'll play me some Ghost Trick.
But let's talk about something else that we can talk about for about 5 minutes, and then probably move on from Yokai Watch 2.
Yokai Watch 2. Yokai Watch 2. I reviewed it, Neal.
Yeah, I'm gonna review it as well for Nintendo Force magazine. But what did you think about it, Alex?
Well, as you can read on my review on NintendoWorldReport.com or NINWR.com, depending on whether URL typing is an issue, I thought it was great. I thought it was the game Yokai Watch should have been. I think it still carries over some issues from the original Yokai Watch, but overall, I think Yokai Watch 2 is the same jump in quality that the original Pokemon game was to Silver and Gold. That's not to say Yokai Watch 2 is quite as good as Silver and Gold. Silver and Gold is like, I think it's still the peak of Pokemon, and I think that makes it like arguably one of the best games ever. So it's not quite there, but the jump in quality reminds me of that. So the big thing that this game does over the original is that it eases you in to the concept of Yokai Watch, which is a much beefier concept than you would initially think and requires more explanation than you think it would. Because I played the first Yokai Watch. I didn't know too much about it. It's super popular in Japan. It's Level 5's take on Pokemon. Let's go. I start the game. It gives me this fucking confusing wheel battle system that I don't understand. The story's weird. The voice acting is horse shit. And and then, like, a half hour into the game, just as you're, like, even understanding the characters and not the battle system at all, they give you a mini-boss fight that is way too hard for your understanding.
What boss fight is this?
Do you remember Dismeralda, the one where your parents are fighting?
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was a pain in the ass at the worst point in the game to give you a pain in the ass.
You know what might have helped me with the first Yokai Watch 1? Playing the E3 demo.
Yeah.
That might have helped me a lot with that, because I don't remember having that same... Like, I've heard you refer to that boss fight a lot, and I was trying to, like, be like, what the hell was that? Because I got about 10 to 15 hours into Yokai Watch 1 before it was kind of like, there's a lot of palette swaps. I'm not as into it. It's like, I feel like I'm just kind of doing the same things over and over again and not exploring as much, like, seeing as many new things. Right. And that's kind of what bothered me. That's what's bothering me a lot about the second one, is especially like the first 5+ hours, I just kind of feel like it's like a deja vu remix version of Yokai Watch 1, and it really, really bummed me out. It's picked up a little more as I start to like see new areas and travel through time and that shit, but those first few hours were a chore, because it's like it's just the first one, like, even to the point that, like, you're running into some of the same yokai that you ran into in the first couple hours in the first one, and they're acting like, oh, look, it's Baku. He eats your dreams. And it's like, yeah, I know. I ran into that son of a bitch last game. Like, don't act like this never happened before, game. Like,
which is funny, because the entire start of the game is your character getting amnesia and then literally doing all the story beats from the first hour of the original game.
Yeah. And they try to like play it as a joke, but it's just like it's kind of there's a part of it that's a little funny and how brazen they went for it, where it's just like, oh, they got amnesia, do it over again. But at the same time, it's like, no, like, I understand this is a kid's game, but like, I think this is insulting even to children. to the level that they redo it. I guess maybe if this is why I think for me, I wish I never played the first Yokai Watch game because
Did you
then
beat the first Yokai Watch game?
I got like 10 to 15 hours into it and stopped
Okay.
because I don't know how much longer I had to play than that, but I had no such review obligation, so I got to a point in that game where I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore. But I loved it for 10 hours. Like, it was so much fun, and the second one just isn't doing it for me as much.
I think the big place where we disagree, and I don't have a single thing to say like you're wrong on, because like it's whatever. But I think the big difference is because I gave up on the first Yokai Watch literally an hour and 20 minutes in, and I actually appreciated the tutorial stuff because I'm like, yo, who's Jibanyan again? How did this watch exist? Where did the whisper come from? I could actually be eased into that, and I think I might have been the target candidate for this game because I really want to love Yokai Watch, but couldn't because the first game fucking it dropped me into that world and I didn't feel prepared. So it's the first 7 hours of this game feel way easier than the parts I played in the original.
And I think that's a big part of the reason why I don't like the second one as much is because like those I guess I'm trying to think of like what the exact cutoff was. I want to say like it's like a solid 5 hours. I think just felt like I was replaying the first game.
Right.
Just like now, but like instead of this mission where you're doing this, it's like now you're chasing this yokai who has a watch, as opposed to like chasing a yokai going down a river or something like that's. Right. Actually, no. I think you do that in both of them.
It's right. You chase one in a river in the second one. I know for a fact. Yeah. If there's go ahead, Don.
I'm just saying this as somebody who's still trying to figure out if he wants to get Yokai Watch in the next few days. I don't know, because I mean I'm already playing one game where I'm chasing demons around a city in Japan, except I'm doing it in Tokyo and it's Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh, you know it's a fantastic game. That one, like Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, is fun. Well, and I think with what helps out with that is I think that if I had played Shin Megami Tensei 4 when I played the first Yokai Watch game, I'd probably be a little like down on Apocalypse being kind of more the same. But I also think that Apocalypse's story kind of just hits the ground running. And there is like Atlas, a lot of Atlas's marketing campaign for Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse was like, you didn't have to play Shin Megami Tensei 4, you can just jump right into that one. And I think that's kind of nonsense. Because there's a lot about this game that if you didn't play the original, you're going to be like, wait, who the fuck is Flynn? Like, what's happening? Who's this? Like, there's a lot of crap that wouldn't make sense. But I also think that the game does a very good job of just being like, yo, this is Flynn. He's the hero from the last game. Just deal with it. Like, just roll with it. And, like, if you can buy into it in that, even if you didn't play 4, you'll probably be fine. But if you need to know everything about the world, then you have to play 4 before Apocalypse.
What if I played 4, loved it, and then forgot the entirety of the game over the last couple of years?
You're probably the target audience for Apocalypse then, because that's what I was. Is that like I actually like read a Wikipedia page and be like, wait, what the fuck happened in Shin Megami Tensei 4? I forgot. Yeah. And then like was like, oh yeah, Flynn, and then like you had the 2 friends and all that jazz.
It's still super fucking dark in this like amazing way that 4 was.
The map actually like works. That's amazing, and like it just like 4 Apocalypse does feel a lot like a remixed version of 4, which it kind of is, but it carves out its own path. And I think that's probably I forget what my rankings were when I did it after I reviewed Apocalypse, but I think that 4 Apocalypse might be my number 2 RPG of 2016, right underneath Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Nice.
Which might say something about my predilection for Atlas RPGs at this point in my life.
Right. I love just the discourse that's been going on about JRPGs this year. I can't find a single JRPG that has a complete consensus this year as to the quality, and I love it. Like TMS, like it's you love it, but then I don't necessarily. Yokai Watch 2, I love it, but then you necessarily. Dragon Quest 7, one guy loves it, but then everyone else is like, I don't know. And then like
don't remind me about Dragon Quest 7. I just want to play that. But like Dragon Quest 7 is that daunting like I need to sink at least 50 hours into that one.
I need to take a week sabbatical from work so I can just play Dragon Quest 7 all day.
Yeah, that's what like I got that the day it came out, and it's just been like sitting there like a harbinger being like, "Hey, you don't have any time to play me, but I'll be here. Come on."
Anyways, Yokai Watch 2, I need to finish my recommendation for that.
Okay,
my full
sorry.
recommendation. Anyways, because the tutorial eases me in, I enjoyed the game more, and I think it's still, Yokai Watch 2 still might be the best looking game on 3DS in some ways. That game looks fucking gorgeous. In ways that, like, I didn't even know the 3DS was capable of running things that powerful and it like running as well as it does, just on a technical level. But more importantly, the reason why I love Yokai Watch 2, or at least like it a whole lot, close to love, is the reason why I love Inazuma 11, which is despite the fact that there as many fetch quests as there are in Yokai Watch 2, and despite the fact that the battle system, even though it is significantly improved in the
You
Yokai...
can fast forward.
Yes, and the yokai designs are significantly improved over the first game. But there are still some weak designs, and the voice acting is kind of shitty. Is that level 5 games are just super comfy to play. Like they feel nostalgic without leaning into the nostalgia at all, in the sense that playing Yokai Watch 2 reminds me of what it was like, and I said this on last week's show to you, Donald. It reminds me of what it was like to be a kid watching like Kids WB, like Cartoon Network, like all those Fox like anime that are like super charming and engaging, but have this horseshit voice acting that you don't realize until you're an adult. Yokai Watch 2 is the closest thing we've gotten to a playable Saturday morning cartoon. And even though it still has all the shitty parts of a Saturday morning cartoon, even though it's as repetitive as a Saturday morning cartoon in some ways,
like, can they just get rid of the stamina meter? Like that.
We don't need that at all.
Like why? Yeah. Because especially when it's just like, all right, you go to this place, and it's like, all right, take this to that place. And you go take it there, and it's like, all right, bring it back. And I'm like, oh, god damn it. Like, I'm just going to use a stamina meter, but then I have to, like, feather it when I get to the end, so that way I don't have to just deal with, like, the kid just being like, bleh.
It's, and there's a shit ton of content. If you like Yokai Watch 2, and I was looking into the community a little bit, and it seems like Yokai Watch is consistent of people who don't like Yokai Watch and people who are so far deep into Yokai Watch it's kind of crazy. And there is
so Nintendo fans, in other
exactly.
words.
It's almost like their own weird level 5 equivalent of Pokemon fans. And there are a lot of adults who are like this too, which I'm guessing is the entirety of the North American fan base of Yokai Watch.
I've heard the show is very good.
I hear it is very good, but I'm just saying, like,
an episode of it, it was all right.
It seems all right. It seems all right. It seems like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's a really good take on Yokai Watch, because that's what it is, warts and all.
Yeah, and for better or worse, like if you want to remember what it feels like to tune in every Saturday for another 20-minute episode of Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, you'll probably get into Yokai Watch about as much as I did.
Do. And I'm not done the game yet, and I haven't written my review of Yokai Watch 2. I will say this: I don't think I'm coming back for Yokai Watch 3. I think I'm done.
2 games, I can see that. So, it's not as good as Pokemon. It'll never be as good as Pokemon. Yeah. It's not the same as Pokemon. It's a very different game, as I established in my review, but it's not as good, and you should not expect it to be as good.
And it's gotten me to thinking a lot about, like, why Pokemon games keep me coming back. Like, even from my casual Pokemon chair that I sit in. Like, because once again, what bothered me so much with Yokai Watch 2 is that it just felt like the first one. Like, a lot of the yokai that I'm running into are ones that I ran into in the first one. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know, like, I guess, like, the way that Pokemon does it, I think the change of location and setting in each game is hugely important. And I think the way that they mix in where Pokemon are, so that way it's, like, unexpected. So, like, yeah, you might have, what was it, like, X and Y, like, you can find a Pidgey in the first area or something like that. But then there's also all these other new Pokemon. You don't need to catch that Pidgey if you don't want to. And, like, they just do a much better job, I feel, of, one, making the characters more iconic and more varied.
Right.
Okay, Neal, this might be a really stupid question. Yokai Watch 2 or Sonic Boom? Fire and Ice.
I think they're on the same level for me, honestly. Well, I think Yokai Watch 2 is a much better game, but I think that if I were to not that I have finished each game. I'm probably not going to play anymore Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, but I think that if I were to review both of them, they'd probably get very similar scores, but for different reasons. And also, that means that goes back to the whole thing that review scores and a numerical scale do not directly compare from one game to the next.
Nor do they compare from one reviewer to the next, regardless of how much reviewers try to, or regardless of how much websites try to atone. Like, I'll say for a fact, even though we all try to adhere to NWR standards the best we can, we do a pretty good job. My 7 and Neal's 7 aren't exactly the same, and they can't be.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I know Yokai Watch 2 and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. I feel like it's a big knock on Yokai Watch 2 that I can't even just emphatically say Yokai Watch 2. Like, Yokai Watch 2 is a better game, but I think that I probably enjoy both games about the same.
Okay.
It'll be about number 5 at my end of the year.
Because both of those games, I'm planning on picking one of them up this weekend, so I just wasn't sure which way to go with it.
Donald, don't buy Fire and Ice.
Yeah, dude, don't get Fire and Ice.
Like, you don't have to get Yokai Watch either if you don't want to, but don't get Fire and Ice.
Honestly, my recommendation, skip both games. Save the money.
Yeah.
And save the time.
Yeah. It's Donald, it's the truth is somewhere between me and Neal's opinions on the game, as it often is. Anyways, I made a list while you were talking about why Pokemon games are better than Yokai Watch games. I actually made a list of 6 points.
This sounds like a site feature.
It sounds like a site feature, and maybe it will be. But it's the fact that Pokemon games do a better job of feeling like a journey as opposed to Yokai Watch, where it's set in basically a hub town and then this super shitty train system that feels like you're traveling on a real train, but not in a good way.
Why?
There's
a video game.
There's a good way to do a train that feels like real, like
it's called not that. Like, you're literally waiting on a train, and it's just like coming up to the next stop. Are you going to get out of this one? No. Right. And then it shows you people getting out of the train, and then you go back, and then you're on the train. It's like, go to the next stop.
Right. Absolutely.
No. Why? Like, that's like a 10 to 15 minute process.
Exactly. Okay. It's so the journey of Pokemon, and you're on the ground running. Anyways, point number 2: clearly defined rules of the world. In Yokai Watch, I have no idea what the fuck is going on, but in Pokemon, I know exactly what the fuck is going on. Number 3: there's a feeling of accomplishment and working towards a clear goal with Pokemon. Like you feel like you're going on a journey, you feel like you're working, but in a good, like, rewarding way, and you feel like you're building your team up, like 3 evolutionary stages instead of 2 like Yokai Watch, and you're working towards a clear goal of being the champion and, like, of making the best fucking team you can. There are better designs in Pokemon, and then they feel like there was way more effort and care put into them, and it's not as... It's not like my favorite Yokai Watch designs, like Drilly, here's a fucking table, and Snoozy. There's no real effort put into them as opposed to Pokemon. The gameplay is much better. The Yokai Watch, I appreciate the little rotating wheel passive gameplay a little more once I got into some of the harder parts of the second game.
Yeah. I think that there's some fun strategy to be had with that take on combat.
I think, like, even if neither of us will play Yokai Watch 3, maybe I will, maybe I won't if it comes to America, I still think there's room for the Yokai Watch battle system to be a really good battle system.
Yeah. I feel like
Pokemon is better.
And I remember talking to people who played the Japanese versions back when the first one came out, and they kept on saying that, like, the battle system gets better in the second one, and, like, I see that they made some attempts, but, like, it's about the same. Like, you can now do the clock thing instead of, like, someone. Or did you have any more points on?
Oh, I have one more.
Go for it.
And then this sounds simple, but I think it actually might be the most important point of all. In 2 games where the fun and addictive cycle of the game comes in to monster collecting, monster training, monster battling, my last point is just capturing feels way better than befriending.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I have more control over capturing than befriending.
Befriending is bullshit.
Yeah, it's random. You could give them the right candy or food or whatever, and it still doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. It's so after you beat the game, there are a lot of QR codes you can scan for optional fights of yokai you can get. Like, there's 6 fruit-flavored Jabanyons. There's Jabanyon with a plane on his head. There's all these other, like, not legendary, but, like, special-ish guys. And then you feed them the Choco Bar that you know Jabanyon loves, and they love it. But after 3 fights, they still haven't joined you.
Yep.
And you can only fight them once a day, and it feels like horse shit, Neal. It feels like horse shit.
No, I the same thing has happened to me. I do want to bring up, because someone mentioned it in the chat, Paper Mario Color Splash comes out tomorrow, or in about 40 minutes. Donald, did you get any farther in that?
No, I'm between work and other things. I am basically at the same point I was at when we did the last episode of NWR at Night on Sunday, which is say I'm parked outside the first tower. I should probably go in. I probably will end up playing more of it, but it's just I'm trying to juggle about 15 different things right now.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest Builders comes out next week too, which doesn't help matters.
I think that Color Splash is beautiful. I think that the writing is incredible. And I think it's one of my least favorite battle systems in an RPG or a video game ever. I think the battle system is horrendous, and my Wii U gamepad's right here. Just imagine, all right, I got into a random battle. Got this out. All right, it's a Goomba. I have to go. All right, flick through. Get the the jump thing. All right, select it. Okay, press and hold down. Color it in. Okay, then I accept that. Okay, then flick it onto the screen, and then I hit A, and then I have to do the timing-based command. You have to do that for every fucking fight. Like,
to be fair, you don't have to.
Who it is?
It's not, you can use button controls as well. That can be enabled.
Okay, I don't even know if that makes it, because then that would just more nakedly show how you need to like press 8 buttons in order to get a basic jump attack. I don't know why why they make it that complicated when you could just have it where it's like, I don't know, you could jump, press a button, then press another button for the timing-based stuff.
Okay, so there was Awakening in 2012. Outside of that, what was the last great game Intelligent Systems actually put out?
I would say Fates this year, but I'm a little biased in that regard.
It's not worth having. But, huh?
They did the Pushmo games, right?
Oh shit! They did do the Pushmo games.
Yeah, so I guess Stretchmo or Pushmo World, if you want to go there.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like Intelligent Systems, in some ways, might not be the company they used to be. I don't know. It's impossible to know whether with Nintendo.
You know
guys.
what?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would blame Intelligent Systems for where Paper Mario is right now.
You would blame Miyamoto?
I would blame NCL before I think I'd blame Intelligent Systems, because those producers at Nintendo are the people who were just like, all right, don't make it an RPG anymore. Like, that's where that came from. That wasn't like the director of the Paper Mario games being like, you know what, guys, I'm done with this being an RPG. And I think that like the game is very polished. Like I like exploring the levels a whole lot. It's just that that battle system, I don't enjoy it, and it sucks because my plan with that game is I literally might watch a Let's Play of it, which is like unheard of for me. I've never really been one to watch Let's Plays, but like that's I think the way that I would want to digest that game. So if anybody knows any good Let's Plays of Paper Mario Color Splash, let me know. I might want to check it out.
That's fair. I don't know. The cycle of the press cycle, and we'll end this show very soon, but the press cycle of this game has been much different than Sticker Star, I've noticed, where it seems like Intelligent Systems themselves are taking credit for some of these decisions way more than Nintendo, and I don't know if that's something they have to do or the way that it is actually the case. But in addition to that, you have Fire Emblem Fates, which, Donald, I accept, and your opinion is very valid for liking those games, But like me and Neal and I, we've been talking about how weirdly disappointing Fates has been in some very specific ways.
I need to play through Conquest at some point. It was Birthright.
Conquest is the better one. Well, Donald feels the other way. But
I didn't really enjoy it. Like I think Awakening is light years better than Birthright. But even still, like they made a lot of changes to Fire Emblem. The things that I liked in Awakening that they took away from Fates.
Right. The mechanics, the Fire Emblem battle mechanics in Conquest are as good as they've ever been, and it's weird that they're just in Conquest, like that difficulty. but there was that, and then you go back to what the fuck is that game called?
Codename Steam.
Codename Steam World Heist, and
Steam World Heist, a much better game.
A much better game, which was okay. I think history should remember that game as what it was. Okay.
Yeah, Codename Steam, I think, is a game that I think might have had too high of expectations placed on it. But the fact that like they had like that special event revealing it at E3 that year, like I think if Codename Steam was just like random summer game, like people would probably come away from it a little more like happy and surprised. But like there was kind of too much build up for it.
And then you had Sticker Star, which is I'm not gonna mince words here, regardless of what I think of it. By the Nintendo community at large in a big way, that game is reviled.
I hate that game.
It's fucking despised. I was talking to T. Brody, and I was like, Sticker Star, it had problems in it, and it had some severe issues, but I thought it was okay. And he's like, dude, no, it's shit. And like maybe he's right. But like that's also like what a lot of people are saying. Like, no, Sticker Star was fucking horseshit. So maybe you're all right about that.
Someone, Roronoa Zoro pointed out in the chat that I shouldn't judge Fates based off of Birthright, and I agree with you. But after playing Birthright, I have no urge or desire to play another Fire Emblem game right now.
Yeah. So
like I have the special edition card, so like Conquest is there for me when I want to. But I was just so burnt out on playing a Fire Emblem game after Birthright that it just. There's way more RPGs that I'd rather play before getting to Conquest. I will probably force myself to play through Conquest before the end of the year, so that way I can, adequately get my RPG Game of the Year list in order. And I'll probably like it. Like I expect to like it. It's just that I don't want to play a Fire Emblem game right now.
Yeah, and then you have the Pushmo games, which are great, but they're basically little projects that are probably just done. Which is fine. Like Pushmo, I think, is an incredible game. The original Pushmo.
I think Crashmo is the best game in that series.
Did you beat Crashmo? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Crashmo is like actually challenging.
I thought Pushmo was fucking challenging. Pushmo got fucking hard at the end. I beat Pushmo.
What I like about Crashmo is that the puzzles. It's like. The levels and puzzles are way more kind of like bite-sized, whereas I think with like Pushmo would just be like, here's this giant structure that you need to figure out, whereas Crashmo would be like, hey, like this is like an eighth of the size of some of the endgame Pushmo levels, but it's way more hard and way more satisfying.
When we start arguing about Pushmo, that's when I think it's time to end Nintendo World Report at night.
Paper Mario Color Splash,
yeah,
I'm down on it, but read the review on NintendoWorldReport.com. Matt West loved the crap out of it. He gave it a 9 out of 10.
Patreon.com/NWR, by the way.
Yes. Support fun things like this. Get the audio version of the show by backing us on Patreon.
We're actually going to do it.
Patreon.com/NWR. We have a telethon on October 15th in which we're going to be raising money for charity. You can check out the schedule on the website. Among the topics that we're going to have, representation from this panel here, we have the Nintendo News Report Pokemon Hour. Yep. I will be doing a live episode of Cube Fight, Animal Crossing versus Star Fox Adventures, in which we might bring on some special guests. I'm also going to be a part of a Super Mario RPG retrospective. Donald, you have one, right? I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, I will be my co-host with Nintendo Free Radio, assuming that nobody got hurricaned out, and special guest from RP Gamer will be coming on to rank the Nintendo systems by their RPGs. I have been warned that someone may attempt to defend the N64 as an RPG platform.
What, for Quest 64?
No. In spite of Quest 64.
I think all that, their case depends on whether Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask count as RPGs. And that in itself is an hour conversation.
Yeah, thankfully we have some people there that are familiar enough with that argument that if it comes up, we'll be able to have it. But I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, because really, the N64 as an RPG platform, really, we're going there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great. Patreon.com/NWR. Support the site you love. Get the audio version of this show. Episode 100 is in like 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we're talking about doing the thing that everyone wants us to do with this show and going like a step further than just giving you no promises yet. We'll see what we can do. But if that's something we can do on episode 100, that would be fucking cool. But anyways, we've almost done 100 of these. That's crazy. We'll have some surprises in store. That's our show. Enron10 at Enron10 on Twitter. We got what's Neal's dog doing?
It's just hanging out.
Yeah.
What would it be possible to get your dog on camera and then also put the Google Hangouts dog filter on your dog's face?
I mean, we could try it.
Do we have to do it from your end, right?
I think so. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe we'll do that off show.
Okay. Patreon.com/NWR, Enron10 at Donald Mick, DONALDMICK. I am on Twitter at CULAFIA. That is Kulafia. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.